like to call to order the meeting of the Dover-Sherborn and Dover-Sherborn Regional School Committees for Tuesday, September 8th, 2020. This open meeting is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020. Information on how to join the remote school committee meetings and meeting agendas are posted on the Dover-Sherborn websites. Please note this meeting is being recorded, and please be aware that anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. So we're going to start with community comments. Please remember that community comments are an opportunity for us to listen to members of the community. Is not a forum for answering questions, and we will not be answering questions tonight. We respectfully request that you please make your comments brief and that you move the discussion forward by providing any new information. And once the public comment section is concluded, other business and unsolicited comments from the community will no longer be permitted. And again, let's hold comments on the athletics until the regional school committee meeting at 7:30. So are there any community comments? Somebody help me.
I don't see anything, Brooke.
I don't see even where the hands are raised. So is there anything?
I can see the hands. I think we're all set for community comments.
Okay. Anyone, one more chance to pipe up if you have a community comment. No? Okay. Okay, having said that, we will move on to the reopening update. Dr. Keogh and the team.
Thank you, Brooke. So we're actually in a great place, all things considered. Imagine saying that 3 months ago, but we've got 5 days under our belt with the staff in and have everything in place for our reopening on the 15th. So it's a real tip of the hat to all the people who have made this happen, some of whom are on the screen tonight. School committee members and administrators. There was a ton of work that went into this, obviously. But so this week, right now, the teachers have been, or last week, I should say, and today, have been pretty heavily immersed in professional development. We had a 10-day calendar set up that included teacher trainings and use of different platforms, top 20 apps with tutorials, working with people on how to use the 80-minute block. It's a shift for teachers, and I think that in retrospect, I think these additional days have been a huge help for them. They've also had, obviously, a chance to try out some of this technology with our remote learners. That is one of the things that's really different when you think about it, especially at the regional level where teachers are potentially Zooming straight out of their classes. You know, we haven't done that before, so people have been practicing with that, and so far so good. But we know that there'll be some bumps, but we feel pretty good about that. We also are feeling good about, or a lot better about, our technology than we were even 3 or 4 weeks ago. Like so many districts across the state and really the country, we too were hanging in the balance as to whether or not we would get our Chromebooks or whether or not we would get our laptops. Remember, we opted to purchase new laptops for every faculty member that would allow them to basically flip the screen over and turn it into a touchscreen computer so that you can use it as if you're using your smartboard. And that's a major bonus, I think, for some of the teachers who are using the old MacBooks and Lenovo PCs. So those are predominantly in. Actually, Anthony gave us a breakdown today. The teacher laptops are being imaged and distributed, and we were really literally just receiving some today. So it's been a full scale hustle in that department. The student devices are in. They are with Wally Computers, who's the company that we work with. Those are being tagged. Email was going out to the middle school families today. Those of you who have middle school students may have received it today, explaining so this is an RSC issue, but how the one-to-ones will work at the middle school, including, covers and insurance, really all they need to know. And those will hopefully be distributed on Monday at the school. We're also working on the K2 iPads. Those will be handed out in the classrooms. The remotes distribution will obviously be prioritized as well. So there's a lot going on with technology, but we're feeling a lot better about it than we were. So we had an alternate plan, and we knew we could make it work for our system K to 12, but we were just lucky. Anthony has a good relationship with Wally Computer. That's a great organization, and they were able to pull it off. So that's good news. We had health trainings in the past few weeks, and 2 more out today from Jill Fedor and the nursing staff. So those really go through soup to nuts, the steps that teachers need to take, for example, when putting on their PPE, just the reminders about keeping our hands clean and the physical distancing, and what to do if we are showing any signs of illness, was really, really thoroughly done. I'm happy to pass those links along to anyone who's interested in seeing them. They're actually really very informational, and I think that will set your minds at ease. I should have thought to do that. It just dawned on me as I was saying it, but they are, I think, really, really helpful. We have also secured testing for our staff and students who are symptomatic. So this is not a plan to allow people to get their testing done before they go away for a long weekend to ensure that they're going to be safe to be with grandma, but rather if someone is one of our staff or students and is symptomatic, they can go to this place that we're working with and have testing done, and their testing would be prioritized. And I'm going to have Dawn speak to that for a minute, because this is a pretty big development. I will just say that the boards of health have been incredibly helpful. The Dover Board of Health was a little bit more insistent upon this testing, as well as some HVAC work that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. Or Dawn, actually, Dawn, why don't we just speak to both of those things, if you don't mind?
Okay, perfect. So on the testing, so basically what we're doing, we're contracting with a urgent care center. It's American Family Care. They have 4 or 5 locations, and we are paying for the concierge service. So they're going to hold 5 testing spots for us a day, so that we can guarantee that anyone that presents at the school with symptoms can go get immediately tested, and they would get results within less than 24 hours. So it's access to rapid testing. So that was really important to the Board of Health, that, as you know, if any of you have been tested or you hear that people have been tested, sometimes it takes 5 to 7 to 8 days. Well, we want to know immediately so that we can do our contact tracing. So this is going to allow us to have a testing site where we can send people. You don't have to go there. Our group has been doing, or the health and hygiene group has been doing, a lot of call canvassing with all the pediatric practices that most of our students attend or see, to see what kind of testing options they have. And if they have rapid testing available, obviously we would send them to their parents would send them to their pediatrician. So mainly we are just entering into a contract to have access to testing as we need it, and we're doing it from September and through December 31st. So it's a 4-month agreement. We all know that the landscape for testing may change by then, so that's why we're just looking at the 4-month agreement at this point. So this is something new and different to be engaged in, but it gives us comfort that if we have people who show up in the nurse's office, like I said, either students or staff, we can immediately have them go to these testing centers and know they're going to have immediate access. And we'll be communicating that to staff and families. And it is important to, as Andrew said, this requires a referral from the school nurse. So it's not open for anything other than people who present themselves with symptoms.
Can I ask a quick question about testing? Is there any, I guess, well, first maybe I should ask about sports, but I've seen some large groups of kids practicing sports at DS without masks on. And I'm wondering if they are being tested or signing some kind of commitment to their sports team, or if we're doing anything to try to manage that, or what the plan is there.
It's a great question, Megan. And some districts, not many, have delved into the waters of trying to randomly test their students or faculty. It's a really, really hugely expensive undertaking. And most public schools are just not able to do that. It's a shame that the state couldn't have come up with a mechanism to do that, but we just don't have it. So, but that's why the boards of health felt like it was essential that we at least have testing available for those who present as symptomatic so that we can get after their contacts quickly. That's, as Dawn mentioned, that quick turnaround is everything in this process. This is not to say, by the way, that people can't just go to their own pediatrician or family doctor and be tested. There are other practices out there that do quick turnaround testing. We just wanted to be sure that we had that available. But as for athletics or our students in general being tested, those who are asymptomatic and just being randomly tested, no, we're not doing that. At least not at this juncture.
Okay.
Did you want to follow up, Megan?
Sure.
Go ahead, Dawn.
Oh, no, I didn't know. I thought you were going to ask me, Andrew, if I wanted to follow up with the next topic, but no, we'll see if there's any more questions on
Well, yes, I was going to ask that you do that though, Dawn. We also have, just to kind of give a brief intro, we also have secured a company that will assess our HVAC systems, and Dawn is much better suited to speak to this because she's been following this whole process. So why don't you, Dawn?
Right. So as we mentioned, the Board of Health in Dover had requested this for their Dover buildings. And so we are piggybacking on their work to include the buildings here on the Regents campus as well as Pine Hill. So we have a separate agreement right now that we just put together with Burrow Happold. That's the engineering firm we're using, and I actually had a kickoff meeting with the project manager today, and they have already started. They did their initial walkthrough at Chickering today, and are going to follow up with their second walkthrough on Thursday, and then he's meeting with me on Friday, and we're going to walk through the region buildings as well as Pine Hill. So they're calling this COVID-19 mitigation consulting that's focused around your HVAC air systems. So their plan is to do a high-level review of all of our systems here. I've sent them the as-built. They're going to be having interviews with our HVAC contractors, and they're just going to give us an initial draft report by the end of September of any deficiencies they may see, and also any enhancements that they think we may be able to do. I will say from I don't want to speak out of turn, but he didn't think that he foresaw any issues with our buildings, just knowing when they were built, and the fact that they've been doing this now all summer. And so I think they can more easily or readily from a very high level tell you which buildings they think there are going to be issues with. And again, if I've mentioned, the Board of Health doesn't have any concern with us opening school next week, given the fact that we have outdoor space, we have windows open. Their concern mainly is as we progress through the fall and having to close things up, they want to make sure that when we're a little more closed up, that our air is of good quality. So again, his timing with a draft to you guys, hopefully by the end of September, and a more final assessment by the end of October. So that's the timeline we're looking at, and we're moving as quickly as we can so that we can make that end of September date as early as we can before September 30th. So anything they're asking for, we're getting it to them immediately so that we can keep this process moving. But that was good to have the meeting today and be able to have some information to share with all three committees.
I have a quick question. I'd love to hear a little bit about both the cost. Sorry, can you not hear me?
Yeah.
The cost of the HVAC review, and is that something that's already within the budget? And also same for the contract with the American Family Care.
Right. So both those, we are going to be using our COVID reopening CARES grants. So I think, right, if you remember, we have a substantial amount of funds available with that grant, and they have to be expended by 12/30. So we are, just so to give you some background, so Dover has Chickering on their town agreement letter. So on the town agreement letter, and they're using CARE COVID money to cover theirs. The region and Pine Hill, then that second agreement was less than $10,000. And so I will split that accordingly between the region and Sherborn, again, using their CARE funding. The concierge service that we're entering into, it's a flat fee of $5,000 a month. We're looking to start our contract instead of September 1st, potentially September 15th. So that would make the first month, hopefully like $2,500. So we will be sharing that expense across all three districts, again, using CARES reopening. So these are not going to be charged to your general fund operating accounts.
Dawn, just a question about the audit, the HVAC audit. Will we have access to the report when that's done?
Oh yeah, it'll be shared.
Okay, and just thinking ahead, if there are repairs to be made and there's CARES grant money and the work needs to be done before the end of the school year, can we give some consideration to just, I would prefer that the students not be and the teachers not be in the building if we have to be doing HVAC, work that's gonna dig up,
Oh, yeah. So I would say, so if it's a large capital project, that's not really you can't really utilize your CARES funding for that. But if you need to get like new filters or little minor things, you can do. We've reserved Wednesdays. That's our day that everyone's remote except for just administrative staff. So that's when we would be looking to do any kind of work. I don't think, so we'll just have to see. I have, some of the enhancements that we were looking at were not going to be time-consuming projects. So if that's something that the engineers say is worthwhile doing, I think that's work that we can spread out across Wednesdays and even weekends if we need to. Our plan is to not have any work going on Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, Friday in the buildings to keep visitors or non-school employees out of the buildings.
That's fantastic. That's what I was hoping to hear. Thanks.
Michael, do you want to go, and then Leslie?
Yeah, thanks. Dawn, will staff have an opportunity to give you a listing of particular issues that they may have identified? I know that some school committee members have heard about some kind of specific items, which you very well may know about all of them, but in the event that there are particular classroom issues, is that something that they know that this is going on and they can send you the particular information to get looked at?
Yeah, so I think you have to look at, like I said, this is more of a high level review. They're not going to go necessarily room by room. They're looking at our larger operating systems. I have heard of some areas that we've actually had our contractor going and looking at and making sure that we're, everything's operating as it's supposed to be. So those concerns are more things that I would take probably to our existing contractor versus the engineer, unless there was a common thread of issues that they were seeing. But, I can bring those to their attention when they do the walkthrough. The Teachers Association has sort of assigned a rep that I've been keeping in the loop, so that if they have issues, that's a good way for them to bring them forward too. But we're trying to keep all employees, including the educators, just in the loop of what we're doing, since they're the ones in the building. We want everyone to feel comfortable.
Thank you.
Don, do you mind speaking also to the Director of Facilities position that was posted?
Yes. So as you know, the months are all running together. At one of your meetings, I announced that Ralph had retired and that we had posted the position. It's not the most opportune time to be looking for someone to fill a position like that right now, given, as you know, everyone's working 24/7 and not really sitting back and thinking about, is it time to make a job change? So I reached out to the director of the Massachusetts Facility Administrators Association, and he has referred to me a retiree who's been doing some consulting work for other school districts. He recently retired in the last 2 years, I believe, after serving in this capacity in Newton for over 25 years. Well, he was in Newton for 25 years, but left there as the director. So as of Monday, he's going to be working with me 2 days a week to sort of fill in some of the needs that we have in the facilities arena while we sit this out and see what's going to happen in the world, and potentially repost the position maybe in January or February. So I think that bringing someone in with the experience that he has, that he's been already doing this for multiple school districts in the couple of years he's been retired, gives me an added comfort that I've got a go-to person to sort of handle some of these day-to-day issues that are popping up. But I also have to give credit to the guys, the head custodians in each of the building, because they're really stepping up to the plate and doing a great job, and I think in running their buildings. So it's a great opportunity for us to sort of step back and say, what are we looking for? So I'm looking at this as an opportunity to reassess where we are, rather than jump in and hiring exactly the same position with the same organization that we have now. I told this person I'd be helpful, I'd be interested in his insight in looking at our organization and how he would potentially suggest we move forward in organization. So I see it as a great plan B. And I'm looking forward to him joining us. He's here with us next Monday and next Wednesday, because those are the 2 days that we don't have students in the building. So we'll be able to do some really good walkthroughs and get some opinions on some of the things that we have already put in place, and hopefully give us a seal of approval that we're heading in the right direction. If not, we'll still have time to quickly pivot and do whatever he recommends that we move forward with. So I will keep you updated on when we expect to post the position, but I think we're just waiting to see what happens during the school year and when makes sense to repost the position.
Thanks. Oscar, do you have something to say?
He does. He has a lot to say. So I had a quick question, Dawn, about the prioritized testing. I guess I'm just wondering, is 5 slots enough? And is that across all the schools? And do we have the opportunity to increase that number of slots?
We do. So if there, we feel going into the school starting that 5 probably makes sense, knowing that this is just a supplemental testing service, that there are other, like I said, there are a lot of pediatric practices that we've already spoken with that actually have rapid testing, which is where parents probably would rather go. So we look at this as supplementing what's already out there for rapid testing. If we feel like we need more than 5, we can go up to 10 a day for an additional $5,000, and we can do that at any time. But we thought it was prudent to start at 5. And then only go up, versus you can't go backwards, but you can go up.
Okay, great.
And we can always, if there's, you have to think of the 5, it can either be like towards the end of the day, you're filling those 5, or if you have some of the evening, they can fall into the next day's 5.
And did you say, I might have missed it, thanks to this guy, but Did you say it's across, that's 5 for each building?
It's 5 for all 3 districts. We're entering into this as a, Dover-Sherborn public pre-K to 12 district entity.
Okay.
Thanks, Leslie. Sorry, Andrew, did you want to keep going?
Yeah, I just wanted one last, I'm watching the time here and have made a commitment to myself to not go on and on. I just wanted to ask Dawn to just give an update on the transportation. I know that our folks have been working closely with Connolly, and we want to make sure that people, at least in this room, know exactly what the plan is, because something will be going out shortly to the families.
Right. So the families, everyone probably got an email on Friday that just put some framework around transportation. I think we had to put the title, please read if you're hybrid only, because at this point in time, we couldn't sort out our email address to get only the hybrid people. So as of tomorrow morning, we're going to start sharing the bus routes with the elementary schools. So Pine Hill and Chickering will each get an email from us with their individual bus route and the estimated time for the first stop. So this is completely different than in the past years. We're not posting all the individual routes onto the website. We're just sharing them with the families. Remember, every bus has a Monday, Tuesday route and a Thursday, Friday route. And so we're trying to get those out to parents as soon as possible. One of the issues I have is that just if any of you may know parents, there's a lot of changing still. And so we've made the decision today that we're gonna not take any more changes right now, because we need to get this information out to families. And if we spend all of our time constantly making changes, we're not achieving that. So we will put that on hold. And then as you read in the email, you will be able to add, like if you are not taking transportation right now as a family and you decide you want to do transportation, we are asking for a 2-week notice before that goes into effect. Remember, each bus route has a seating chart. So every time we make an adjustment to the bus route, it impacts the seating chart. So in order to sort of keep that, preserve why we're doing all of this, we need to follow that protocol so that we know who's on the bus, who's sitting where, and working with that. So that's why we're asking people, we said err on the side of, if you think you're going to take the bus, go ahead and sign up, because it doesn't matter if the seat's empty. It matters to us though if you try to get on the bus and you're not assigned a seat. And so, like I said, that will all be going out to parents, starting with the elementaries tomorrow, and we'll hope to get the region out probably late Thursday, early Friday. That's where we're seeing the most changes right now. But so far, we don't have any buses that are over capacity for COVID. And I will let you know the protocol that we're looking for monitors for the first couple of weeks is any elementary run that has students over like 15 students will do a monitor for, and any region run over 20 will do a monitor for, because other than that, we feel like the drivers are so capable that they'll be able to get their students where they need to be and following the protocols. And the other issue is that it's really hard to find people who want to do bus monitors. So we try to prioritize where we really think that we need them. And our plan is, like I said, to do that for the first 2 weeks, maybe 3, but we think kids will quickly catch on, and hopefully we'll make this a smooth transition. But I just, wish or hope for everyone's patience, because this has been a huge undertaking, the amount of routes that we've had to start really not from scratch, but it totally threw everything that we've worked on all winter with the new routing system out the door, and we started doing the manual routes again because it's just so much easier, given that we do 38 bus routes.
So thank you, Dawn. And that pretty much is my reopening update. I just forwarded you the health trainings to the 3 school committees in your email.
Are there any other burning questions about the reopening? Michael?
Yeah, I'll ask one question, and Andrew, maybe give you a moment to think about while I ask Dawn a question. But the question is, are there any, same as last meeting, are there any kind of red flags that are particularly concerning that might be useful to hear about? And then, Dawn, is there going to be a communication to families who are dropping kids off about what that kind of traffic plan is, where, you know, where they should be going and the hours, that type of thing?
Yeah, so we, that's something I'm going to, now that I know the bus routes and sort of what we've developed, my next plan was to reach out to the buildings, because not only do I need to worry about the drop-offs, but just sort of the protocols we're gonna have for the disembarking of the buses. And so that's something we'll be probably tweaking, and I didn't think about sending something out, but I'm sure they will incorporate that into their communication. Every school already has sort of a drop-off designated point right now that I think will probably pretty much stay the same. I think where it's going to be a little bit different, it's going to be the pickups at the elementaries. And I know they both have been working on their system for pickups to not have parents come in, but have a designated spot outside where they will be bringing the children, the students. So, but yeah, we're like running as fast as we can and trying to throw out the information, but that is something that we'll definitely make sure is communicated. I think the key I keep telling people is that it's going to be, we're not used to having school where there's only half the capacity coming in. So that's going to be a huge, I think, adjustment to us. And I think in a way it's going to be helpful with all these new protocols, never to have more than half of the school. So I think I settle people's nerves a lot by just saying, think about it. You're only going to see half the people coming, and think how empty that's going to be when you sort of really do sit back and think that only every half of the, at Chickering, so only every half of the classroom side is going to be in school. So I think it's going to be very manageable, but as many protocols as we can put around all of these different activities, then the smoother it will be. It will be a work in progress, though, because it's just hard to think about how all this is going to play out.
Right. I mean, I think that
is starting to. Sorry, Andrew, go ahead.
No, that's fine, Megan. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that information is starting to come out from the different schools. I know Pine Hill communicated it last week in a newsletter they sent out about how to drop off your child and pick up your child, and if you needed early dismissal, and et cetera, et cetera. So I think it is probably starting to come out in different communications too.
Right. And so that sort of speaks to Michael's second question. What are the kind of, we're closing in on 1 week, right? 1 week from today, the kids will arrive. So, when I think about the red flag issues or the things that keep me up at night, it's really kind of all of the parts, Michael. There's no one big thing. It's just all of these parts. It's whether or not people will follow our rules as laid out. Will they pay attention to these protocols? Will our transportation go as we've outlined it? Will we be able to secure substitutes if in fact people get sick? But one of the things that gives me confidence, and this is a discussion I've had with Matt Vitale before, is that the work in Europe really speaks clearly to the fact that this can be done. It definitely can be done. It has not been perfect in Europe, and there have been places that had to close. It didn't work out, and they had to close, and then they tried again. But there were other places that actually had cases. The kids or staff were quarantined, and they got back on track. So I don't think we should be under the false illusion that we're not going to see any COVID-19 cases during this reopening, because it is quite possible. But I'm feeling pretty confident that the system that we've got in place will work. But there are a lot of moving parts, a ton of moving parts, and you don't have to look far to look at systems that had to shut it down suddenly and unexpectedly. And that's the one thing that I really genuinely pray does not happen to us, because it's just so disruptive to a community at this juncture to have to, turn and pivot to a completely different model. but I'm still as confident as I was a few weeks back, or more so, I would say, because it has been coming together. So I think we're going to be okay.
Thank you, Andrew. Are we okay to move ahead to look at the MOU agreement just in the interest of time and your meeting afterwards?
I'm sorry, I had one really super quick logistical issue or question that's come to me, and I'm 99.9% sure I know the answer, but I just want to confirm. I know we'd had some discussion about when there's a Monday holiday, those kids would move to Tuesday, Wednesday in school potentially. But next week with the school start, Monday, Tuesday kids are only in Tuesday, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I don't think we're ever going on a Wednesday, correct, Beth? I think we looked at those holidays and they are all even out enough that we're sticking to our schedule.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. Okay, if you have any burning questions, send them to your chairs and we will get answers for you, we promise. So thank you, Andrew and John and everyone else who's working so hard on this. Okay, let's move on to the Memorandum of Understanding Agreement that's in your packet. I wanted to thank the school committee negotiations team. I think you're all here, Lynn, Kate, Megan, and Mark. And also, of course, Laura McGovern, who is here. I see you, Laura. Hi. Michelle Hugo and Rob Williamson for the DSEA, who worked so hard on this. And to thank you for having some probably unprecedented conversations in these really strange times. But we're so grateful that you were able to engage in the respectful, productive, and collaborative process. And that really speaks to who we are as DS and makes me really proud. So thank you. So how do I proceed? And just discussion or questions? Is that what you suggest, Andrew?
Well, I think you'd probably would take a motion to approve the MOA and then see if there's a second, and then you'd have your discussion.
Okay, so by committee, yes?
And
yes, Lynn?
one of the things that we noticed is reading through these materials that we mentioned earlier is that the plan doesn't reference the modifying language that we voted on, the region voted on. And this MOA contemplates that the plan incorporates that language. And so is there a plan to actually modify the plan to reflect the amendment? Because it's not, I didn't see it.
When you say the plan, Lynn, do you mean the reopening plan?
Yeah.
I didn't reference any of that in the reopening plan. The reopening plan is really the document that I sent to the state, and they don't require us to kind of get down that deep into the specifics. So, I mean, I can add that to the appendix of that document. That's not a problem.
That's what we vote. It's what we voted, so it does need to be, because we voted to approve the plan as amended by that language that we.
It's not a problem. It's just a matter of adding it as an appendix item that the regional school committee voted. I don't have a problem doing that, and I haven't discussed it with the other chairs. I don't see why that would be an issue. I would just specifically take the language from your vote at the region and add it to the appendix of the reopening plan.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's an appendix or not, it's the way we voted it. It's part of the plan, so. You could do it as an appendix, you could bake it in, you could.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was under the assumption that because it was voted formally in a public meeting and recorded in the minutes, that wouldn't be necessary. But if you'd like me to do it anyhow, I'm still happy to do that.
Yeah, because that way we don't have to reference meeting minutes to understand the full context of the plan. So as long as it's in one place, and it's what the vote contemplated. So I think that's fine.
So it sounds like, can we vote on it tonight, just pending that you'll add that to the appendix of the document?
We're talking about the reopening plan though, not the MOA.
Yeah, the appendix. Yes.
The appendix of the reopening plan. I'm happy to add the specific language from the regional vote.
Thank you.
And then that appendix in turn, or that reopening plan is attached as Appendix B to the MOU, so it will be captured there.
Were you?
That just, I mean, it's not something I discussed with the DSEA, so.
No, you're just Michael's just repeating the language, like Article 1.3 incorporates the plan as Exhibit B.
I see. Yes,
So
okay.
yeah, Michael's just saying Exhibit B will now reflect our language. So it's all caught in together.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 52-page document, so, but that's okay. I just will attach the whole reopening plan as Appendix B. And in the reopening plan, I will include the appendix.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's already contemplated. It references the plan as Appendix B, third paragraph. So there's no extra steps that you're making.
Okay.
Okay. Maggie, do you want to take it for the region? That probably would be prudent.
Be delighted. From the region, may I entertain a motion to approve the MOU as ratified and just discussed for the reopen? Is there more specific language, Brooke? I feel like there has to be.
I don't know. I had a motion to approve the MOU agreement as presented in our packet, but I don't know if that
That's
is
fine. And
Can before the motion, because this may have impacted the motion, I'm not sure. But I had sent forward a number of technical comments which may or may not be taken.
I think we're going to vote.
Fine, but if we could contemplate a vote to approve the plan with such technical modifications as may be.
Okay, guys, so the Dover-Sherborn Education Association has voted to ratify the plan that we read. So all due respect for all modifications, and I think if there are grammatical errors and so forth, those can be corrected, but we have to take a vote on the plan that they voted to ratify. So right. We have to vote on that now. Right. So we've had the conversation, the thing will be added to the appendix.
So can we move to?
Listen, can I entertain a motion to approve the MOU as presented in the plan with the adding of that language to the Appendix B?
So moved.
Thank you. Okay, discussion. Okay, I'll take a roll call vote. Now, I know she's got sketchy cell service, so Kate Potter, can you hear us?
Yes.
Kate Potter? Yep. Yes.
Yes.
I can see and hear you. There's the bell. Kate Potter, yes. Judy?
Judy Miller, yes.
Michael?
Michael Jaffe, no.
Anne?
Anne Hovey, yes.
Lynn?
And Collins, yes.
And Maggie Sharon, yes. Thank you. Brooke?
I'm going to go next. Dover, do I have a motion to approve the MOU agreement as presented in our packet? Leslie, and a second?
Mark Healy, second.
Okay, Sarah, second. You're on a delay, Mark. Is there any discussion? Okay, see none. I'll do a roll call. Leslie Leon?
Leslie Leon, yes.
Sarah?
Sarah Gutierrez Dunn, yes.
Colleen?
Colleen Burt, yes.
Mark?
Mark Healy, yes.
And Brooke Matteries, yes. And Angie?
Sherborn, you can go ahead and take yourself off of mute. Do I have a motion to approve the MOU as presented in our packet?
Mike Fitzgerald, motion.
Do I have a second?
Megan Page, second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Nancy Cordell,
Nancy Cordell, yes.
Amanda Brown,
Amanda Brown, yes.
Mike Fitzgerald,
Mike Fitzgerald, yes.
Megan Page,
Megan Page, yes.
and Angie Johnson, yes.
Okay. Great, thank you. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, all our teachers who are here. Okay, we're going to move on now to the last, or second to last item, which will be Anne and the superintendent search team update. Where are
Thanks,
you?
Brooke. I totally had forgotten I was doing this by now. I was so focused. Oh no, it's good. I was so focused on what we were talking about. So just really quickly, interestingly, as we're getting ready to start for this year, the search team has been thinking about opening up school next year with a new leader. And so we want to just make sure that we share with you what the process is as we're going along. Since our last meeting, we've engaged NESDEC as our search firm. And after much deliberation, we decided to follow a slightly less aggressive timeline that aims to have the search completed in January. We had, in our original discussion, if you all recall, we discussed whether we wanted to really push to get it completed by December, or if we thought maybe a little bit slower made more sense. Given the fact that school started 2 weeks later than we had originally thought, we thought that this slightly less aggressive timeline, so finishing in January, gives everybody time to have a little bit of a breather before we dive into this. And we feel that most of the candidates will be thinking the same way, since they're educators, mostly educators in their own districts, dealing with many of the same issues that we are. So we're not concerned about losing our best prospects by slowing down just a little bit. And it would only be by a couple of weeks. Also, just a quick reminder that we'll be asking members of the community to participate in several stages of the process. So in a couple of weeks, there'll be more information sent in a letter to parents, administration, teachers, and staff that will include an opportunity to sign up to participate in one of the focus groups or on an online survey, and as an opportunity to volunteer to be part of the selection process, meaning one of the people who helps interviews the potential candidates. And the purpose of the focus groups and the survey is part of the process to help us focus our priorities and determine essential qualities of our next superintendent. And while I know people don't really have the bandwidth to think about this right now, if you have any questions about the search, as always, please reach out to me or to the other superintendent search team members. So it's Mark Healy, Angie Johnson, or Michael Jaffe. Thank you very much. Try to make it as fast as possible.
You did talk very fast, but we got it all. Thank you. Thank you so much, Anne, and I hope everyone will keep an eye out for opportunities going forward. It's an important process. Okay, so yeah, thank you. We're in good time. So the last item is a consent agenda, and you've seen in your packet the minutes for August 11th and the revised fall 2020 reopening calendar, which help me, Andrew, if I'm wrong, I think it just has a revised end date. Is that correct?
Right. We have contracted length of year and number of days for kids, and I'm sorry about that. We did not calculate that correctly, so we've adjusted that.
That's okay. It's hard to think about the end when we haven't even begun.
Right. Our end date basically didn't change from our original end date.
Okay.
But our start date for kids did.
Right. Okay. Okay. All right. So for Dover, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented in our packet? Leslie, stay awake.
Leslie Leon, I move the motion.
And a second. Colleen, thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, I'll do a roll call. Leslie?
Leslie Leon, yes.
Sarah?
Sarah Gutierrez Dunn, yes.
Colleen?
Colleen Burt, yes.
And it looks like Mark has made it to his
I'm
destination.
home. Yes. And Mark Healy, yes.
Okay. And Brooke Matarese, yes. And I throw it to you, Maggie?
Regent, if you could take yourself off mute, please. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as included in our packet?
So moved.
Ann Hovey, motion by Ann Hovey, second.
Kate Potter, second.
Kate Potter seconded. Any discussion? Okay. Judy Miller,
Judy Miller, yes.
Kate Potter,
Kate Potter, yes.
Ann Hovey. Ann Hovey?
Sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Could you not hear me? I'm sorry. I hit mute too fast.
No problem. Michael Jaffe
Michael Jaffe, yes.
and Lynn Collins. Lynn Collins? Okay, we might have lost Lynn. And Maggie Sharon, yes. Okay. Sherburne?
Sherburne, do I have a motion to accept the August 11th consent agenda as included in your packet?
So moved.
Megan, so moved. And the second, Nancy?
Cordell, second.
Very good. All right, I'm going to, everyone take yourself off mute and I'll do a roll call. Amanda?
Amanda Brown, yes.
Nancy Cordell?
Nancy Cordell, yes.
Megan Page?
Megan Page, yes.
And Mike Fitzgerald?
Mike Fitzgerald, yes.
And Angie Johnson, yes.
Okay, thanks all. All right, we are ready to adjourn. So you have 6 minutes before the region regroups. Let's adjourn and give you.
Take the roll call to adjourn.
I'm going to. I was about to. I learned this. Okay, you want to start?
Sure, Region, if you go, that's great because then we can leave, get ready for the next season. Region, if you could take yourself off mute, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So
Lynn
moved.
Collins, so moved.
Lynn
Judy
Collins,
Miller, second.
motion. Judy Miller, second. Judy Miller.
Judy Miller, yes.
Lynn Collins.
Lynn Collins, yes.
Michael.
Michael Jaffe, yes.
Thank you. Ann.
And have a yes.
Kate.
Kate Potter, yes.
And Maggie Sharon, yes. The region is adjourned.
Angie, do you want to take it?
Sure. Sherburne, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Amanda Brown, so moved.
Do I have a second?
Megan
Second.
Page, second.
Okay, I'll do roll call now. Nancy?
Nancy, yes.
Mike Fitzgerald?
Mike Fitzgerald, yes.
Amanda?
Amanda Brown, yes.
Megan?
Megan Page, yes.
And Angie Johnson, yes. So Sherburne is adjourned.
Okay, and Dover, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Mark
Colleen?
Healy, so moved.
Okay, and Colleen?
Can't.
Did we lose you, Brooke?
Brooke, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Leslie, sorry, I don't know what happened.
Leslie Leon, yes.
Yeah. Colleen?
Colleen Burt, yes.
Sarah?
Sarah Gutierrez Dunn, yes.
And Mark?
Mark Healy, yes.
And Brooke Matarese, yes. Just quickly before, if anyone, I'm getting some questions. The link for the region at 7:30 is different. It is on, either email me quick if anyone on there needs it, or
Be on the agenda on the website.
on the high school on the right-hand side. If you look below the region, it's in there as well, but it is different. So you have to come off and go back on. Okay? All right. Thank you all.